Here we are, all set up. So thanks a lot. So I'm Giuliano Gaia, as Tula was saying, and co-founder of Invisible Studio, together with Stefania Boiano, and we have been long-time friends of EVA conferences, and so when I come here, I really feel between people I know, and we've been presenting quite many papers about our different experimentations that we did over the year in the technologies, because our story is that we started working on online museums. So how museums can cope with the online world in 1995. So we have been working quite a long time in that specific area of museums and online. And one thing I talked about last year, the last year EVA conference, was that I found into my computer, in the recesses of my computer, a couple of screenshots from the first Louvre website of '95, and I think not even the Louvre has them. So we will talk about digital preservation, which is a big problem, and I'm sure that in many of our all desktops and all computers, there are saved pieces of that history. We should really try to put them together, and I will get in contact with the Louvre and ask them if they want my screenshots. And so basically, we experimented with many technologies. We experimented, for example, with a 3D collaborative world in 1999, which was called Virtual Leonardo. I've been working a lot about Leonardo da Vinci, so I know that Leonardo da Vinci is quite a shared interest here. And for example, we experimented with chatbots in 2002. And then again in 2016. And so we have been trying many technologies. And today I'll be talking about augmented reality. We didn't do much in the realm of augmented reality, but we are very keen on observing how it is evolving. So it will be kind of, how can I say, background and panoramic that we are trying to do here and to discuss with you. So I will bring you more questions than answers, I think. Also because I like when technologies are in the first phase, but also I like when technologies are passed beyond the hype, because as we know, beyond the hype, now the interesting stuff can come. So as we will see, around 2016, 2017, AR was all over the world. And now it's not like NFTs, because you cannot say the word NFT anymore. Otherwise, you are hopelessly out of fashion. But again, augmented reality, now I think it's not as high on the observation as, for example, AI. So I think it's quite interesting to try to understand now what we could do with AR, waiting for the right device. Of course. So just a few words about Invisible Studio. Invisible Studio is a studio based again in Milan and London. We do cultural consultancies, cultural formats, digital products and projects. We were born digital only. And then now we understood that in order to understand digital, you have to understand more. So for example, that's why we are very much into, for example, design thinking, and any kind of human-centered design technologies, and not only technologies, but really processes. So for example, we have been working with the Imperial War Museum here in London, or the Egyptian Museum in Turin, trying to use design thinking in order to make better designs of for example, their multimedia applications. We have been working on event and exhibitions, speaking and training workshops, of course, and paper and books, among which a few with EVA. And this is a photo of our studio in Milan. And by the way, if you ever pass by Milan, please drop us an email. And we'll be super happy to have a coffee with you. We are very conveniently located straight in the center of Milan, like 15 minutes walk from the Duomo. So please do pass by. It's an interesting. It's not, as I was saying yesterday. It's not as beautiful as the other Italian cities, but at least it's quite interesting. You know, it's a good architecture laboratory, because in the same street you can find a rationalist building from the 20th century and the Renaissance building all together. So where it lacks in harmony, it has in interest, I would say. So please do pass by. And so today we'll be talking about augmented reality. I usually like to start with a history. We are here at IVA, we are all very fond of history of technology. So we will start with the first, with a paper where Claudel and Meisel, they sort of defined the idea of augmented reality. So as we can see, we describe the design and prototyping steps we have taken toward the implementation of a heads-up see-through, the bolts are on us, see-through head-mounted display. Combined with head position sensing and the real-world registration system, this technology allows a computer-produced diagram to be superimposed and stabilized on a specific position on a real-world object. So the differences between augmented reality and, for example, reality were all there, okay? See-through, computer-produced things to be put on real things. And so this is, for example, is a photo of Thomas Claudel in 1992, working with one of the very first prototypes of augmented reality glasses. But with something that usually happens with online technologies is that they, from the very first pioneering thing to when it comes to the public attention, quite a few years pass by. So, for example, here we have to make a long jump towards 2018. I think some of you will remember this quite groundbreaking ad. And this was one of the first applications of augmented reality which caught the public eye, because it was, how can I say, bringing life to, basically bringing life to the print. So the first idea was, okay, if I can superimpose this 3D digital object on a trigger, basically on a print paper, then this can be quite amazing and produce that wow effect. So this was one of the first applications. It still is one of the interesting applications. And then I'm sure many of you will remember this saga. So what are these? Google Quiz. Google, of course, of course. Announced in 2020 and 2012 and launched the developer tool in 2013. So basically it had this small camera and this also quite small head-mounted display. But what's really notable about it was the incredible backlash that they got. Because basically they were perceived as something really not, how can I say, threatening. And it's interesting that the most threatening thing was intended as the camera. So this idea that it was sort of changing room, spying device, which was absolutely refused by the public. And so this also brought people to not to be patient with the fact that it was a very early device. So of course, it had every sort of problems, for example, of the batteries becoming hot and so on. So the visuals were not great, but the idea was that this is not a nice thing. And so it's been, this is one of the big problems that it had. And I'll show you later that in fact, this has changed in the public perception. But let's go on. And You will probably remember also Snapchat. So 2015, Snapchat lands, and as you were mentioning, and please do integrate what I say, yeah, because I know you, as you said, you've got quite a big history into augmented reality. Please, absolutely, I will welcome any integration here. And why Snapchat did have quite a good impact? Because it was something that it was fun, it was easy to use, and basically it superimposed on not, it's interesting because it was not superimposing things in reality, but superimposing things on yourself. So it really went together what social media are about, basically. So showing yourself and showing yourself in different ways. And then, who hasn't played with this during that craze? So we all remember 2016, all that really the moments when we went around and explored the city. And I think the interesting thing there was maybe that we realized that it was possible to add an invisible layer to reality. So till then, we didn't really have the possibility of finding, how can I say, finding digital beings, digital creatures around. And this promised that, and this actually did that. So for a couple of months, the novelty effect was all there, and everybody was, me too. I remember nearly being hit by a bus here in London, chasing for the last Pokemon. And then after a couple of months, of course, the novelty fizzled out, and so also the interest. And now it's still used, but by quite a smaller community of hardcore enthusiasts. But what they do is that they create a social connection between them. So again, it's changed. It came now. Different mechanisms are in play for Pokemon Go, but really it showed all the world that augmented reality could exist in a way. We could probably say that. And then going on, 2016, the same year, Microsoft HoloLens. So again, quite a bigger device, for example, compared if you look at the Google glasses, you see how small that area was, the visual display was. This is much bigger, so the graphics were much better in a way. And going on, I'm following a strict chronological order. So we jump from one subject to another. But I think it's quite interesting that it's a very recent history now. So we treat it as history, but just a few years ago. Facebook basically takes the Snapchat filters, integrates them into their Instagram and Facebook filters. This means really the popularization of it. So this is the moment where maybe we could say that this is the moment where they really become mainstream, the augmented reality filters. And 2018, Magic Leap 1. So Magic Leap has been very, very good in creating a big hype about the company, a big hype also about these tools. Unfortunately, I haven't tried one. Have any of you tried any Magic Leap 1? Okay, because I've read many reviews, and in some way they were okay, but in some way, again, the people were a bit deluded by the hype that was around that. Of course, it's like AI, it's like augmented reality, virtual reality. These are very powerful philosophical concepts. So of course, your expectations are very, very high. And then when you try the actual thing, sometimes they can be a little bit, downbeat from what you were expecting. Then 2019, this was quite interesting also for the artist point of view, because basically Facebook opened the Spark AR developing software to everyone. So basically everyone could create Instagram filters. And as we will see later, this the possibility has been exploited by artists around. 2019, Microsoft HoloLens 2. So bigger, better. I've tried that. And I have to say that has anybody else of you tried the HoloLens 2? Yeah. And what are your impressions about that?
Good.
Small screen.
Yeah, small screen. Yeah. I agree, small screen. What I found quite good was the graphics, what the visuals, I can say. So the objects that you can see are quite nice, but I totally agree. The small screen is still one of the big problem, augmented reality problem. And then this is quite interesting. Luxottica, which is the Italian owner of the Ray-Ban brands, launched in 2021 the Ray-Ban Stories, which are basically a pair of Ray-Ban glasses with the possibility of taking photographs. And it's quite interesting that it didn't get any backlash. So you remember Google Glass, and everyone, oh, that's horrible. You're going to spy me in my every place. And now we have got an actual pair of glasses that can do the same thing. And well, not many people probably are buying them, but nobody's protesting. So it tells you probably how the perception has changed. And I think this is due to the smartphones and social media.
Yeah.
So now taking photographs is quite accepted everywhere. And so having a photo camera into your glasses is no more a problem, probably. And this I found quite intriguing. Even if, of course, this is not augmented reality devices, because they cannot show anything into your lenses. This is just a photographing device. But we should probably think about it. And then 2022, last year, Magic Leap 2. And what it's interesting, have any one of you tried Magic Leap 2? What's interesting is that, again, they are slightly enlarging, you see, the field of view. So problem is that we are still very far from having the whole thing. So it's slightly, getting better. And another interesting thing is that Google Glass was discontinued totally in 2023 because they kept on producing them, selling just a few of them, and then finally they blocked. We are trying to understand what they're doing, of course. I don't know if you also have any other information. It seems, but of course I could be totally wrong. It seems that they are not going on producing internally an AR device. Maybe they are looking for buying some company producing other devices. But it's quite interesting that probably they are still, searching their own way inside. Do you have any other?
No, are you sure that they're not? Because remember, the people who did Pokemon Go,
yeah,
seemed to be a third-party company, but they actually turned out to be Google.
Well, the people.
No, they turned out to be owned by Google.
Yeah, the technical. Yeah,
right. But they presented themselves as if they weren't. So do we know that just because they've discontinued Google Glasses, that they aren't working on things under other corporate names?
Mm-hmm. Okay. No, what I'm saying is that from what because I'm following, we're following quite a few blogs and so on, and we are trying to understand what they are doing. And so far, in this particular moment, I couldn't find any information of internal projects going on. And yes, I'm reading about the fact that they are trying to, they're probably doing or aiming to buy some other companies. That's what I was saying. But maybe next week they could come out and say, okay, we bought Magic Leap and everything's going on.
I can ask about Tiltbrush, which was Google Tiltbrush for creator tools with a.
Yes, but this is more about virtual reality, I guess. So Tiltbrush is a way of creating VR.
Google seems to have stopped that. Have you come across in your research anything that's going to continue that within Google while you're looking for this? Did you come across
Google Poly was discontinued as well?
I'm interested to know whether it's under another company, whether they've stopped it, what's the prognosis for the future projection?
My impression, I haven't come about anything specific now. My impression is that in that realm, VR and AR, probably Google is not. Maybe now, at least, what you can get from the outside. Of course, I'm not an insider. Maybe now they are more focusing on AI because it's kind of an existential threat for them. So probably, at least that's what I get from outside. But it's such a big company. I don't know if, for example, you got something from Google regarding this.
No, I got nothing.
Yeah.
They just let it go to developers, like, okay, use it now, but we're.
Could be. But again,
I think there was no money in it.
Yeah, it's very difficult from the outside to say, and but it's very important, of course, because they are such giants that when they do something. Okay, and then finally we got the Apple Vision Pro. So again, this is it's a mixed reality tool. So it also has a see-through possibility. So we could say it's good for virtual reality, but it will probably be good also for augmented reality. Even if, of course, it's difficult to imagine ourselves go around with a diving sub like the, in the streets. So we are still far from the kind of really usable augmented reality device, and I think this is the big problem now. So AR so far. This could be something that we could say that now smartphones and tablets are the only reliable AR devices. What I intend by reliable, I mean spread and that you can sure that they work in a way. And because there has been usage of AR devices. For example, this is kind of a nice music video that Sigur Rós did together with Magic Leap, and it was more of a, usually when you use these devices, either you film the people using the devices and then you spread the video around, but it's difficult, of course, to produce hundreds of thousands of the devices for big applications. Or, for example, this is one of the few augmented reality tours that I know, and I don't know if you probably, there are others around, but this has been going on for years and still going on in Pompeii. So basically they offer the tourists the AR, and I know the company, and so they can see the Pompeii rebuilt, okay, looking around. And I've read we have analyzed the feedback on TripAdvisor, for example, or on Google about this tour. And it's interesting because people were mostly focusing on the human interaction with the guide. So the augmented reality thing was kind of add-on. Oh, it's nice. Oh, yes. But yeah, the guide was great. Oh, the guide was not knowledgeable. So again, it seems that we are not there really now. And so the question is, which could be the killer application for augmented reality? For example, when Google put the live view into Google Maps, we thought, oh, wow. And then I ask you, how many of you, do you use the live view option You know what the live view is, no? That it can show you with these arrows around when you go, okay, where to go. So nobody of you uses it.
I used it when it first came out.
Yes,
like
and now.
10 years ago.
No, I'm asking, for example, today, come here. Did any of you use did you?
No, I'm just using the normal Google Maps.
Exactly. And we could ask why. Well, probably because going around like this.
Yeah.
Danger.
Yeah. Exactly.
Oh, I don't-
Yeah.
Very common.
Yeah.
Like it's on your mobile.
Yes. Yes. So this could also, yes, network. Yes. Sting your. This could also be a problem. Absolutely.
I want to live in the real world.
Sorry.
I want to live in the real world,
Yeah.
Yeah. Exactly.
right? I'll use the devices when they're necessary, but I don't need to walk around. You know?
Well, because this in theory could be a great killer application, because it could be something that really could help you going around and without having to continuously check. You just have arrows bringing you to the right place. This would be good. I mean, Google Maps have been one of the killer applications of smartphones, because it's as a British comedian was saying. You remember when we were young, we were forever lost. Always lost.
That's right.
And now we are not lost anymore. I mean, I came here today with almost.
Checked where you were going before you left home. That's what you did. Yeah.
It's possible in a non-urban environment where you're not securities.
Yeah.
Yeah, and this also could be true. And then
Left or top, yeah.
another possible killer application was for example, for e-commerce. This is IKEA is one of the most used ones. But so placing objects, placing your armchair into your room and see how it goes well. And have you tried it? Yeah. And I don't know if it's the same impression. It's useful, but it's not perfect. There's always something bit out of scale, bit not perfectly working. I don't know if this is so. This is a good application, but still not a super widespread one. Probably.
And also a texture. If you get samples, if you like, looking at fabrics, you want to actually feel that sample, don't you?
Yeah, of course.
And the colour isn't quite right. Yeah. The different lighting.
Yeah. Of
All these kind of things when you make a design decision within your
Exactly. So you see this. So the dimensions maybe are not quite right. The look is not quite right. The reflections is not. So we still have some more to do. So again, I think that the only the application, but I think in the end, this is one of the most used. I know it's not incredibly cultural, but basically it's what it's probably mainly used for so far. So we could say that we still a bit like a suitable device and a real killer application. When they will arrive, probably augmented reality will explode. And I go to briefly go in the 10 minutes that I still have towards having a look at how augmented reality is being used in culture. So, for example, the natural history museums, many of them developed interesting applications. For example, in this case, I'll show you if it works. Fortunately, it lost the link to it. Let's see if I can.
Oopsie. BT. Oh, shit.
Yeah.
Start to get close to animals that lived hundreds of millions of years ago. Dinosaurs were just giant lizards, a truly unique kind of reptile, which is dinosaurs wrong.
You see here they put the tablet into a plexiglass case in order to make it easier to use it.
Their existence never ceased. The more we find, the more complete our understanding.
So this is a museum in Italy, in Trento. It's a Natural History Museum.
It's also in
And well, I use many museums also in the US, and also Natural History Museum in London, if I'm not wrong. They use this idea because it's, of course, it's very compelling, the idea of pointing the device to bones and see the flesh and see the real living thing. So this was one of the most used application. And then again, art around the city. So the first idea was, okay, in the Science Museum, I recreate the living creatures. Now, around the city, for example, this was an experimentation from the Art of London. So many museums of London put these frames, empty frames around the city. Then you point your smartphone to them and you see the actual paintings. So basically, you spread your paintings around the city, which was quite interesting. This is an experiment that I did in Milan and many other Italian cities. It's Museo di Arte Urbana Aumentata, which is augmented urban art. And basically, they put animation on street arts. So you point again, you point and see animating. Then these are all pictures I took yesterday in my here in our base in London. And these are two artists from the recent exhibition in the London Photographers Gallery. And this is Google Arts and Culture, the art projector. And basically, the concept is always the same. You put artworks into your house, wherever you want, which can be fun for a little time. And then after a while, it's not incredibly compelling, probably. But it still can be quite interesting, and this is one of the most used things. Then the Tate Britain recently made this animated artworks. So again, you go there, you point at the artworks inside, and you see animations and interesting things. Jenny Holzer did something quite intriguing, I guess. Yeah, recently at the Bilbao. Let's see if I can show you. See, basically, this was not a real projection. This is just what you see when you pointed your smartphone to the Guggenheim of Bilbao. So basically, she digitally painted, but only when you pointed it. So video mapping is all around, but this is not a real video mapping. This is not an augmented reality video mapping, which I find quite interesting. And then there is the whole idea of the hijacked exhibitions. So what you can do is that you can basically take over museums without the museums being interested, being involved. For example, we did it. This is an experiment. We did it at the National Gallery here in London. And basically what we did is that I'd really like to show just 1 minute. So maybe this could be a way of ending it. If I can. Let's try. And delete it.
As a tribute to the cult 80s film They Live by John Carpenter.
This is a great movie, by the way.
Interactive experience.
Anyone working on AR should see.
Discover hidden messages in Renaissance art, much like the film's protagonist, who sees subliminal messages in advertising posters through special glasses. Our focus is on room 55, a dedicated room at the National Gallery in London, featuring Venetian Renaissance artists such as Antonello da Messina and Giovanni Bellini. Using our augmented reality application, visitors can frame the paintings in the room with their
So the idea is to show the messages from the power hidden behind even the most sacred art, even the most
artists by those in power,
and of course
their worldview and encourage reflection. Conditioning.
So the idea is that the interesting thing is that we conducted this experiment because we wanted to understand how easy it was to produce it without involving the National Gallery. It was incredibly easy. So the idea is that
working now?
Yes, it's still working. You just have to download the application, go there. You simply point at the paintings and the hidden messages will come out. What we interpret as the hidden messages will come out. And so this has been done also at the Louvre by other artists at the MoMA. So this idea of making, how can I say, more liquid the walls of the museums. This could be very interesting, I think. So again, to wrap it up, the idea is that we still are in a way in the infancy of augmented reality, because as we said, we still lack a really great device. We still lack probably the killer application. But when we will get there, already some interesting applications are going on, and we are keen on studying and experimenting with it, because when the device will arrive, it will be probably incredibly exciting. Not without problems, of course. For example, privacy problems. You can imagine the fact that when you have a perfect, for example, real, how can I say, when the objects will appear real, and maybe you'll be using contact lenses, and so we could add like persons who are not here into the room. And it will be very difficult to distinguish them on the reality. Or we could delete persons who are here. Yes, because
there's a movie about that.
Exactly. And I think it's not a question of if, but a question of when. So again, things have to be thought out, and we have to be prepared in a way. But also things could be becoming really exciting from this point of view, and this is it. And this is also where we are looking more optimistic. Thank you very much.